there was needed the all-creating, life-giving logos or word, inner heavenly sound, to originate and utter the symphonal vibration that should impart life and breath and motion to the universe. Then and not till then was it spoken. Then and not till then were the celestial and terrestrial worlds becoming bound and associated together by a reciprocal influence. A new and a living way was opened for the incarnation and exhibition of life upon the earth.
Kabbalah is the ancient mystical school of thought of Judaism, literally meaning the received. Kabbalah is also an esoteric method believed to have been revealed to elect saints and preserved by a certain few since the time of the Garden of Eden. Kabbalah aims to explain the relationship between God, the unchanging and eternal Ein Sof, the infinite, and God's creation, the mortal and finite universe. Kabbalists developed their own sacred texts, especially during the Middle Ages. These texts, however, still remained within the Jewish tradition, as they often worked with scriptures from the Hebrew Bible to demonstrate the extraordinary teachings of Kabbalah. One of the most foundational of the Kabbalistic texts is the Sefer HaZohar, a Kabbalistic commentary on the Torah, which are the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. The Zohar, which scholars believe was recorded mainly by the 13th century Spanish mystic Rabbi Moses de Leon, presents profound discussions on many topics, such as redemption, prayer, and the nature of God, the cosmos, and souls. The word Zohar means brightness and refers to the light manifestation of the divine. We now continue our presentation of enthralling mystical passages from the Zohar that shed light on the divine creation of our universe and all beings. The Book of Light, Chapter 1, Genesis, Creation. And the earth was tohu and bohu, that is, without form and void. The word was, relating to the past, is here used to indicate the primeval state of the earth at the time of its creation. The water covering the earth was cold as snow and impregnated and contaminated with mud and debris, which by the action of a strong fire congested and hardened, and the space or place it occupied, in becoming separated from the water, was called tohu, or the place of waste and dregs, and corresponded to the evil demons that made it their abode. Bohu, on the contrary, was that part or portion of the earth that became purified. If it be asked by the action of what power was this purification accomplished, the scripture answers, darkness was upon the face of the deep. The term darkness refers to the fire or light which, though of divine origin, existed like a nebulous dark cloud at the beginning of creation. And the Spirit of God proceeded from the Lord of life, and hovered or moved upon the face of the waters. After impregnating them with the breath of life, and causing them to become purified and fructified, then from out of the state of tohu came forth a great and mighty wind, that overthrew mountains and broke into pieces the rocks, similar in its effects to the sight beheld by the prophet Elijah, as it is written, after the wind an earthquake, that dispelled the darkness in which was the hidden and concealed fire, that transformed the world from tohu into bohu, and from a state of chaos made it receptive of seeds and germs of life. This is expressed in the words, and after the fire, a still small voice. Tohu was thus a state of chaos in which the world existed for ages after its first creation, enshrouded in darkness and immersed in water. By the action of fire, in its qualities of heat and flame, and the associated operation of the Divine Spirit, the constituent elements became differentiated and each imbued with energies and powers of attraction and cohesion, as also of repulsion, and thus prepared to be taken up and used in the elaboration of material forms and bodies in which pre-existing spiritual entities or beings might incarnate and manifest themselves in accordance with laws regulating and governing their birth, growth, and development. This preparatory and progressive stage in the world's physical history was what is termed bohu, a state of darkness, which was at the same time an allotropic form of the divine light that in its infinite modes of energy and operation pervaded the vast expanse, making it pregnant with the germs of life that eventually came forth out of the earth's mighty womb and began their ascent on the spiral curve of evolutionary existence, until, after eons of upward struggle and ceaseless endeavour, they attained their destiny, becoming children of light, assimilated in the grandeur of their expanded faculties of mind and heart, with their great Father of light, the Holy One, blessed be He, whose love and beneficence to all His creatures are as great as His power, and who knows neither measure nor end. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and then went forth the fiat of the divine word, "Let there be light," and light was. Light radiant and glittering with 1,000 different colours and rays, fringing and embellishing all objects with a halo and sheen of beauty and splendour, entering into and informing each atom and evoking its latent life and energy, and exciting it to the display and exercise of its inherent properties and functions in the great economy of nature. In all the various phases of development, from tohu, chaotic state, to bohu, purified state, through countless ages of silent, secret, and ceaseless progression, from lower to higher stages and states of being, the divine has manifested itself under many and different aspects or characters corresponding to and symbolic of them. Thus, whilst the earth was in a state of chaos, it manifested itself as Shaddai, the Almighty, and when it passed from the state of Tohu to Bohu, as Shabbaoth, or hosts, when darkness disappeared, then it became known as Elohim. But not until the life-giving word was spoken did it become known as Jehovah, God, the I am that I am. This is why the scripture states in the vision of Prophet Elijah, Jehovah was not in the earthquake, but Shaddai, another name for God. Jehovah was not in the fire, but was Shabbaoth, heavenly hosts. After the fire, a darkness made visible, it manifested as Elohim, God. Then was heard the still small voice, and the name Jehovah, YHWH, was complete, the 4 letters of which serve as symbols of the divine essence, as the hands and feet represent the human frame. We now proceed to investigate and acquaint ourselves with the hidden mysteries and teachings of the secret doctrine regarding creation, which have just been outlined in a general manner. So far, we have dwelt upon the secret operation of Ein Sof, or the unknown infinite and eternal being, in preparing the earth and impregnating its substance with a mysterious divine virtue or power, which rendered it capable of becoming the medium for the unfoldment and manifestation of pre-existing spiritual entities and beings. These effects achieved, there was needed the all-creating, life-giving Logos or Word, inner heavenly sound, to originate and utter the symphonal vibration that should impart life and breath and motion to the universe. Then, and not till then, was it spoken. Then, and not till then, were the celestial and terrestrial worlds becoming bound and associated together by a reciprocal influence. A new and a living way was opened for the incarnation and exhibition of life upon the earth. This is why, in the
antecedent
primal stages of development in the world's history, the expression "God said" is not found in Scripture. At first, He willed, as the Arabic version gives it, and His will operated silently,
slowly,
yet surely and effectively. The primary substance of the earth being thus prepared, it was through the mysterious action of the Word, in a heavenly sound, that it became endowed with vital properties and attributes through the divine vibration imparted to it. This is what Scripture affirms. And God said, that is, Elohim, God, manifested Himself by and through the divine Logos, and thus, by and through the Word in a heavenly sound, produced motion or vibration under the laws of which created matter or substance, resolved itself into an infinitude of different forms. Let light be. Now, the word Yehi, He, is composed of 3 letters, I-H-I, Yod, I, being the first and third letter, and H coming between them. The Yod or I represents the male and the female principle. The full word is therefore a symbol of the Divine Father and Mother, the final Yod, I, being the same as the first in order to show that all 3 aspects or forms as stated, under which Ein Sof operated in the creation and production of the universe, were only the manifestations of one and the same divine being. The first Yod, I, also designates the Father, the engenderer of light. The second letter H denotes the Logos, the third letter Yod, I, the primal light. The divine aspects are further symbolized by 3 vowel points, Holem, Shurek, and Hirek, that is, the Father and the Word, and the light. Before the manifestation of the Logos, 7 other letters were formed, but the primal light, proceeding from the Father, was too ethereal and imperial to receive and become impressed with their forms and signatures. When, however, the state of Tohu, chaotic state, gave place to that of Bohu, purified state, other 7 letters were formed. But again, as matter was not sufficiently condensed, it could not retain them. At the manifestation of the creative Logos, 8 others, completing the letters of the alphabet, were formed, which endured because by the action of the Logos, the barrier between the spiritual and earthly was done away, and they began to exercise a reciprocal influence on each other. This is the occult meaning of the words, "Let there be a firmament," and thus form a medium, a point of union between the higher and lower worlds. This taking place was the prelude to the appearance of life upon the earth. God saw the light, that it was good, for then the universe became lighted up and pervaded throughout with the divine life which preserves it for the common interest and happiness of created and animated beings. Bright viewers, we thank you for being with us on today's episode from the Kabbalistic Zohar, the Book of Light, selection from Chapter 1, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom.